that being said, the first chapter of Joel starts out with something like a devastation. And one of the questions he asks on this sheet, I think on yours too, is why sometimes, maybe it's a statement he made in our question, why sometimes does it take a catastrophe to get folks' attention? And I've got the answer, because we're so blame hard-headed. Well, yeah, so I mean, but again, why, and think about ourselves, I'm thinking about me, you know, things happen, maybe not catastrophic, but some things happen to get my attention. And why is it? Because I'm done in dirt and hard-headed. That's the answer. But God, I made this statement some time ago. God does what God wants to do because it's His world and He can do with it what He wants to. He made it, He can do with it whatever He wants to. I just happen to be a part of it, and if He chastises me for something, then guess what? It's not I probably deserved it, I know I deserved it and probably a lot more, kind of like the whippings I got when I was growing up. I deserve more than what I got. So, but the thing is, why is it that way? You just think about it. And then the second one thing he kind of had kind of close by is, you know, the scripture says to pass it down from generation to generation to generation. And why do you think that was important? You can answer that question. Do what?
They couldn't read or write.
Well, they couldn't read or write, and that's the only way that sometimes they had to get the message across.
Some kids will listen.
I'm sorry?
Some kids will listen.
Yeah.
For the warning signs, you know, like you can say, don't listen to what I'm saying, so you don't experience the pain that I had. You know what I'm saying? Some kids might listen.
And I
wouldn't
learn
warn,
from
but
it.
yeah.
Learn from past
And I think
experience.
that's accurate.
Don't touch the stove, it's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I had the thought,
The older we get, the
when I was reading over that again, I had the thought, does that apply today? And if it applies today, then why don't we do it more? So I got some really good news yesterday. I'll go there in a minute. We oftentimes let an iPad, and I've got mine here, be the parent that we should be. So I think it's important for us to tell that stuff so we can have one-on-one time with the next generation rather than, hell, just read about it. No, I'm not Janet. Listen to what I've got to say. This is important. And that's what.
Well, and I think that's part of the reason, I mean, so I have 3 grandkids, so I'll base it off of that. The youngest one that I'm gonna keep, she watches no TV, very little, very limited TV, no iPads. She might look at pictures, some on the telephone, but that's it. She's outside. She's learning about stuff. She plays. We play together. You know, that's just the way her moms decided to parent. My other 2, they watch a lot of TV and they're on the iPad a lot, you know. So while it's easier for the parent, maybe, I'm not sure the kids learning all the things they need to learn.
So my thought process through the whole thing is, based upon what Toby talked about last week, it's important for us to spend one-on-one time with other folks.
We were in Chick-fil-A.
We need to invest our time and their time.
We were in Chick-fil-A eating lunch Wednesday, and there was a young black lady with like a 10-month-old child, and she was so attentive and so loving and was just, her world, you could see, revolved around that child. And they got up and left, and another young black woman with a little boy that was about a year older, so he was probably 2.5, 3, comes in, and he's got an iPod in his hand, and I heard him say, "Mama, Mama, Mama," 7 times, and she never looked at him. She was on her phone, the whole time, and she never looked at that child. And the two young mothers in exactly the same place with diametrically opposite ways of parenting. And that's what made me think, when you talk about you pay attention, and the iPod is the parent, this little guy was carrying an iPod, and the only thing I heard her say to him is, turn on your iPod. And that was it. She went back to the phone. So she was so involved in
So
herself.
what is that saying?
Kids are an inconvenience to her.
Yeah,
I tell you, I've got a lot of young employees, and I tell them stuff, and it's like, phew, they're always on their phone looking at stuff, and they don't comprehend, or they don't want to hear what I have to say, and there's a reason I'm telling them this, is because I don't want them to do it wrong and have to redo it.
Well, and that's the reason,
Yeah.
in the Bible, it often says, listen, something's important about those.
And they hear the Charlie Brown cartoon voice, I reckon.
So,
Same thing to your students.
That's it. That's also, Tony, why kids
With
don't
my-
have an imagination. They
With
have
my
none.
students, it's, every one of the kids in the school gets a Chromebook. Here's your Chromebook, here's your Chromebook. Bring your Chromebook, bring it back, we'll get you a new Chromebook. Here you go. And it's like, you don't need the encyclopedia, you don't need the dictionary, you don't need, and, you know, they would lose their minds in a card catalog, okay?
I used to keep that library.
I know of 2 librarians in the school system who have lost their jobs. They've cut them to half-time, no benefits, so the librarian position is basically gone at high schools and middle schools now. They're just gone. And it's like, the kids don't read the, icy spot anymore in the readers. They don't have those. Everything's on that Chromebook. One good impulse.
okay, so
And
And
they're
they're
not
gonna
gonna
be
know
lost.
what to do.
They're gonna be
the,
lost.
the
Mhm.
good news I mentioned earlier before we got into that was that yesterday morning at the fire department breakfast in Selby, we had some state elected officials there. And they passed legislation, and according to them, the governor has already said or has already signed off, yes, and it becomes law, to remove some of the testing from the schools and to allow teachers to teach. And in the process, he gave the school board member a heads up. That means y'all gonna have to budget for some books, because electronic devices are going away.
I think they should be used for emergency
I've got-
only.
I've got testing in the morning.
So
Go
then somebody asked, they says, are you gonna bring back cursive writing?
There you go.
It's
And
not, it's not just
we
that.
think that's gonna be, they said, they think that's gonna be a result of the other, rather than dictating.
It's
Yeah,
simple
cause they
math.
rely on, electronics so much, they don't,
It's simple math, Tony. You know, it's simple math. You know, if Walmart shuts, if you're gonna go check out at Walmart. Yeah, and it shuts down, 'cause we were there one day and they can't run. They can't operate. We were trying to buy crickets at Fall Creek Falls. They hadn't been put in the system. The guy said, I can't sell them to you. They haven't been put in the system. Sam said, I'll give you $10. I mean, that's more than they were gonna be. He said, I can't sell them to you. Okay. We drove down the road, crickets.
Well,
I
see,
mean, it's not like it's rocket science, you know?
and we got there because Joel says, pass it down from generation to generation, and this is what's scary to me. The generation that we've lost.
Yeah.
What are they gonna pass down?
Generations, yeah.
You know, what are they gonna pass down? They don't have the ability, and I'm not, bear with me on this. I'm not against homeschool. If that's how they choose to parent, that's how they choose to parent. I'm okay with that. But
A lot of that is
who's doing the homeschooling?
I started to say, I am against that, cause Holden's baby brother, he's 6. He's just in kindergarten, and she pulled him out to homeschool him. Now, she was a drug addict,
So,
and she has no degree, but she pulled him out because she didn't like being dictated to. She didn't like the vaccinations.
see, that's my concern, is who's homeschooling them?
Or not school.
Or,
They've
Finding
got
out.
this thing now called non-schooling. That some people are doing, it's like,
Live by life.
they'll learn when they want to.
Yeah.
So going
If
back,
it's important enough to them, they'll learn it. Now, how are you gonna prepare somebody for a job, fill out an application, even if it's online application, how they gonna fill it out if they can't read and they can't answer the questions? You know,
Leah,
So,
you
I
have,
mean,
you
you'll
have
everywhere.
an earth-shattering wisdom statement.
I'll tie my, yeah. Yep. Anyway,
Charlie
so,
Brown.
y'all just,
Go ahead.
so, here is what I find scary. Are any of you familiar with AI?
I started to say that was on the tip of my
Yeah.
tongue.
It's taking,
Such thing as AI.
Yeah.
it's getting so bad that it's taking over people's jobs.
Yes.
And it's another excuse for people here in America to be lazy. And I think that's just absolutely absurd.
I do, I agree.
We have AI, and I associate it with a guy. It's called Claude. And she goes, you really need to practice and get familiar with Claude. And she'll be doing something. She said, now see, Claude did this spreadsheet for me. She said, you waste too much time. She said, you need to do Claude. So anytime I said, oh, your best friend. But Holden does AI through his homework, and somewhere along the line, to me, that's plagiarism.
But where,
Explain to me how you got the answer.
where in the process,
What answer?
and I'm afraid what we're doing, we've invented things to prevent people from thinking.
Yes. Yeah. Or doing.
And some people have invented those on purpose.
Yes.
They don't want.
They don't want us to think.
They don't want you to think about it and reason it out for yourself. That's because, cause if you do, then they can't tell you, no, this is. what you're
Example.
If
supposed
you
to do."
control thinking, if you control money, and you control food, you got people.
That's right.
And education.
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 Or lack of.
Or lack of.
Well, it throws me out of whack on the get rid of the penny and you have to round, and I'm like,
I'm not doing that, I'll pay you with a penny.
Oh, I
no,
it.
what do? You
I
flip
it.
your card, cause I ain't dealing with it.
So let me tell you how big of a heathen I am.
Yeah.
I'll go to McDonald's or Crystal or wherever, and my meal, okay, by the way, 4 Crystals with cheese, fries, and a drink,
$12.
or like 13, 11.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
on purpose, I give them $14. I say, oh, wait a minute, let me give you 11 cents.
Oh, they can't do that.
They can't do that. I do it on purpose, just see them struggle.
And they'll say they can't do that because they've already punched it in the computer.
Yeah.
I said, but you gotta just give me $1. No, I owe you. And this one guy was trying to give me back $1, some odd cent. I said, no, I gave you that. I learned to quit doing that if they've already punched it in the
I do it on
computer.
purpose just to see them struggle. I just-
Watch them squirm.
Yeah.
The bad part, Tony, if you go around to the back side of the register, it's got pictures.
Oh, really?
The McDonald's,
Yeah.
it doesn't say, it's got a picture of a Big Mac. You want a Big Mac, hit the
It's
picture.
not that, it doesn't even say,
I
yeah.
didn't know.
They don't put an amount, a number, they hit the picture of the sandwich.
So it's like.
They have a meal,
It's like the
POS
kiosk where you
screen.
go to and order your own meal.
Right.
and then they have an individual.
I don't do that. I do not do that.
No,
I walk up to the counter.
I'll walk away.
So, the thing is this, and, I know we talked about stuff, and we're notorious for that in this class, but the thing is Joel recognized a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he addressed the problem rather than turning a deaf ear to that problem, which I think we do because of the invention of AI, we've turned a deaf ear to the problem. Well, kids are not learning. Guess what? The reason the kids are not learning today is because we're not teaching them. So we've
Not
invented
making them
something to take care of our inability to teach them, or the availability of the kids to learn. Because we, as society, have put a thumb on that and not allowed it to happen. And then we wonder why we're in the shape we're in. I saw this morning in the Facebook, headline, pictures, the video, the headline was J.D. Vance being removed from a White House dinner. And it shows them like the perception they wanted you to have, he was being removed for something he had done. That's what the headline said. Reality was, he and Trump both, plus all of their staff, their cabinet members that were there to dinner, were removed by SWAT folks, Secret Service and SWAT folks, because there were gunshots in their lobby.
Huh?
There was an active shooter in the lobby.
So he was trying to get in.
Yeah. So, the headlines,
Hopefully
AI
it's registered.
Yeah.
implied that he had done something
To be removed.
to be removed, and nowhere did it mention they were being removed because of an active shooter. So guess what? So how many people would have read that and believed it? Well, what? Him and Trump must be feuding. Guess what I did? I got on the website, and I got on the whatever,
Google.
and typed in J.D. Vance being removed.
Yeah.
And it went to a news story which told the whole picture. And I
But
don't
see, that's the
think-
way I do, especially on, well, I'm taking a break right now from Facebook, but,
Well, almost everything on Facebook is clickbait.
Oh, it
They
is.
just want
yeah,
clicks.
they want you to,
That's all they want, click.
Yeah.
and some of them
I
are,
got to where I
like,
hardly
pay
even
for
look
it.
at it
Yeah.
anymore because
That's why
it's
they
just,
do that, money.
yeah.
And I will
Ridiculous.
tell you, the only reason, well, a reason, I don't know, just been, the main reason that I keep Facebook, and I'll threaten 3 times a day to get rid of it. But the reason I keep it is for things like Shonda posted this morning, with a picture of her daddy doing things where the Lord has blessed him in his
yeah,
health.
that's what I
I
do.
still,
And it reminds me
I'm
of folks' birthdays and stuff like that, so it's
I'm
convenient.
still
for that
hanging
stuff.
on to the hope that something good will eventually become out of that, and all this clickbait junk will go away.
Let me tell you how reliable this stuff is. Sandy showed me this morning,
I don't know what you're talking about, yeah.
I think it was this morning. She had a notification on Messenger.
Oh, yeah.
Came in 3 hours ago, that made it, must have
Well,
been
it was
last night.
last night, yeah. I had a message.
Which had made it
come in.
7 o'clock.
Yeah,
You know what was on? People were bringing food to the church for you,
for your mom's.
for your
funeral.
mom's funeral. And we got it, it says it's delivered 3 hours.
That was
We're sitting there going,
a year
wait
and
a
a half
minute, what's the
ago.
matter with
I
Tony?
was stripping gears trying to figure
A
out.
year and a half
I
ago.
got Mike's phone
Yeah.
and looked on the church.
And we're sitting there
text
thinking,
and
what in
see
the world
what
happened to Tony? How come we didn't know this?
So that's, I think what Joel is cautioning the folks about. And if we pass the truth on from generation to generation to generation, then we know the truth is being passed on from generation to generation to generation. We don't do it because we don't have responsibility anymore.
And where do we find the church?
So-
So that's what our job is, to pass that on to generation to generation to generation. Cause, I mean, it's always gonna stand, cause it's passed the whole time. But we're gonna come to a time where it's gonna be so twisted, like it is right now.
And it's gonna be
They'll
like
believe the
Mark,
lie.
it's gonna be like Mark says, they will put some type of headline on there, of biblical attention getter